The Wii U. I make fun of the Wii U, but to be honest, I actually have a ton of fond memories with this thing. So today, I wanted to go back and look at some old Wii U games to see if they still hold up. The first game I want to look at is Super Mario Maker, released in 2015. Essentially, it's a Mario game where you can make your own levels and post them online for other people to play. When Nintendo announced Mario Maker, the first thought that came to my mind, other than wow, this is so cool, was wow, I can't believe it took them this long to make something like this. For years, fans have been making ROM hacks of Mario games like Super Mario World, where they would design their own levels for players to experience. And often those levels would be insanely difficult. Nintendo themselves released Super Mario Bros. 2, The Lost Levels, back in 1986, which was basically a super hard ROM hack of the original Super Mario Bros. So it's not like they didn't know how much fun making really hard levels was. I bring all of this up to say that Mario Maker was a brilliant idea that really should have been made years earlier, but hey, better late than never. Back in the early to mid 2010s, Nintendo was kind of in a rut. The Wii U wasn't very popular, they still had that 4 kids stink to them, and back in those days, Nintendo was far less lenient with people making YouTube videos about their content. Anyone else remember the Nintendo Creators Program? However, I remember when Mario Maker came out, it started to make the Wii U kinda cool. Tons of people were posting videos of themselves playing Mario Maker levels. It really felt like a big thing. Even going back to it now, it still is quite fun. The level editor gives you a lot of freedom in what you can do with it. There's all sorts of enemies, obstacles, and fun little gimmicks you can add, like these really cool costumes that can make Mario look like other characters. You can even change the level's style to resemble one of 4 games: Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, and New Super Mario Bros. U. I went online and tried some of the popular levels, and I actually enjoyed quite a few of them. Some of them were just auto levels, which are stages where the level just kind of plays itself. These sort of stages were often pretty popular, and the first 1 or 2 times you play one of these, it is cool, but the novelty wears off quickly. I was actually really surprised by how creative a lot of the levels that I played were. This one level had you going all throughout video game history with stages based on different popular retro games. Another one was this mini game challenge. Another one had you playing Pong with a Koopa shell. Then of course you also had your straightforward platforming challenge levels that ranged from baby easy to hair-pullingly challenging. Nintendo themselves even made a few courses that you can play. The most interesting ones by far are the event courses, which are themed levels based on special events. Some of these events were new game releases like NES Remix and Twilight Princess HD. Some of these events were collabs, like a level based on Hello Kitty and a level based on the Shonen Jump manga Nisekoi. Nisekoi is a series that's all about a teenager dealing with multiple girls in his life. So the level actually has you choose between 2 different routes, which I thought was a really cool way to integrate the series' story into the level. Unfortunately, Mario Maker's servers are supposed to go down soon, and by the time this video goes up, they may even already be down. If they are still up though, I'd recommend going back, downloading your favorite levels to play offline, and enjoying this one for a bit. The next game I want to talk about came out about 2 years before Mario Maker. That game is Sonic Lost World, released in 2013. I think Sonic Lost World had the unfortunate situation of being released right after Sonic Generations, which is often considered to be one of the best 3D Sonic games out there. Sonic Team removed the beat-em-up werehog stages from Sonic Unleashed and stuck with the high-speed platforming in the next game, Sonic Colors. While Unleashed does have its fans, it still was divisive at the time. However, Colors was the first 3D Sonic game since like Adventure 2 back in 2001 that the majority of fans considered to be good. So when Generations came out and that game was even better than Colors, it really seemed like we were entering a new golden age of Sonic. Then Sonic Lost World came out. When Sonic Lost World was announced, there were a few things that rubbed people the wrong way. The first was that the game didn't use the boost style of gameplay from Unleashed, Colors, and Generations. Sonic has a reputation of constantly switching up the gameplay style. They finally had a formula that worked, and yet again, they switched it up. I understand wanting to keep things fresh, but come on. The second thing was that the game definitely seemed to be inspired by Super Mario Galaxy, with the whole emphasis on gravity and moving around planets. Sonic has always been heavily inspired by Mario, and this was another noticeable example of it. The third thing was that Sonic now had a run button. If you don't hold it, then he'll just walk normally. To be honest, none of these issues really bothered me that much. At the end of the day, I think Lost World is fine. It's a perfectly okay Sonic game. The levels aren't super memorable, but I wouldn't say any of them are a complete pain to go through. Sometimes jumping can feel a bit stiff, but generally Sonic controls pretty nicely. The music isn't the best Sonic soundtrack out there, but it's still good. And visually, while a step down from Generations, the game doesn't look bad. The only real big negative I have with this game is the roster of characters. The only character I really enjoy in this game is Eggman. His dry humor and occasionally scary dialogue make him entertaining to watch.
I'll get fat from eating your black hearts, you Eggman wannabes!
However, besides him, this game is kinda bad in the character department. Sonic cracks these really corny jokes, and not in the endearing kind of way. Tails is this jealous, insecure jerk which causes this completely unnecessary conflict with Sonic. And then of course there's the absolutely horrible cast of villains. The Deadly Six are a rainbow of cliche assorted foes for Sonic to unceremoniously defeat. You've got the crazy guy, the big eater, the old geezer, the girly girl, the Debbie Downer, and the leader. That's literally all you need to know about these guys. It's honestly kind of insane how stereotypical these characters are. Besides that though, yeah, this game is fine. It just came out at a bad time. In a series with some really low lows, I can appreciate a decent game that I don't mind picking up every now and then. Lost World was originally a Wii U exclusive, but it came out 2 years later in 2015 on PC. The next game I want to look at also came out in 2015, Splatoon. I remember Nintendo promoting the heck out of this game when it was about to come out. They even released a sort of demo for the game called the Splatoon Global Test Fire. The Global Test Fire allowed you to play against other people online, but it was only available at specific times during the day, usually for only 1 hour, which was honestly pretty annoying. Not to mention there were some connection issues. Luckily, the full game itself ended up being an absolute treat to play. Splatoon is a third-person shooter unlike any other. Until, well, someone else tried their hand at it. But anyways, Splatoon is really unique. Like a lot of other multiplayer shooters, you can take out opposing players, but that's not really the goal of Splatoon. The goal is to paint the map in the ink of your team's color that you shoot with your weapon. Your weapon does run out of ink after a while, but you can switch from your kid form into your squid form and go inside of your team's ink on the ground or in walls to refill the ink in your weapon. You also move way faster when you swim through your team's ink as a squid. You also are hidden from enemies when you're in the ink of your team's color. When you're inside of or you walk through the ink of the opposing team's color, you move slower and take damage. This game does a great job of taking one key mechanic, that being the ink, and fleshing it out to where the whole game revolves around it. This gameplay was a real breath of fresh air at the time. It was interesting, unique, and new. But not only was the gameplay new, so were the visuals. Splatoon's visual style felt very modern. The characters dressed in hip, trendy clothes that you could buy from the shops. Instead of the stages being the same generic maps with tired level concepts, you had levels based on the types of places that you'd see in real-world cities. Splatoon just has this really youthful, in-your-face, vibrant aesthetic to it that reminds me of something like Jet Set Radio. And like Jet Set Radio, Splatoon's soundtrack is great. There's a lot of jamming guitars, drums, and the music incorporates these synthesized voices speaking gibberish into the songs that reminds me of the Animalese voices in Animal Crossing. My favorite song is definitely the credits theme, Maritime Memory. Hearing that just takes me back, man. Splatoon is just a really great game. My only really major criticism is Splatoon's interesting use of live service mechanics. Now, there aren't any microtransactions in this game. However, Splatoon does have a lot of features that are based around time, like the clothes in the shop that change once every IRL day. You can order specific clothes that you see people wearing in the plaza, which is like the game's hub, but you can only order one piece of clothing per day. This makes customizing your character kind of a drag. There are only 4 stages available to play at any time, 2 for ranked battles and 2 for non-ranked battles, and they only change the stage lineup every 4 real-world hours. This can honestly make the game get a bit repetitive since you're going through the same stages over and over again until you finally get that glorious announcement from the Squid Sisters that a new selection of stages is available. The only time-based things that I really liked were the Splatfests, which were events that would happen every once in a while. On average, they'd happen about once every 4 weeks. For Splatfests, you'd have to pick between 2 choices like Cats vs. Dogs, Pirates vs. Ninja, and SpongeBob vs. Patrick. magic. And then you'd fight for that side in turf wars. Whichever side performed the best over the 24-hour Splatfest period would be rewarded with a greater amount of special super sea snail items. And these things could be used to upgrade or alter your clothes. The Splatfests were actually pretty cool. All of the stages in the game would take place at nighttime, and even the plaza was at night with all sorts of special decorations. It really felt like a big event. I didn't actually know this, but apparently there were different Splatfests depending on what region you were in. The three regions were the North America region, the Europe and Oceania region, and the Japan region. In fact, the majority of the Splatfests were region exclusives. Some of the region exclusive events were the Transformers Autobots vs Decepticons Splatfest in North America, the Get Fit vs Get Rich Splatfest for Europe and Oceania, and the Dragon Quest Splatfest called Show No Mercy vs Focus on Healing for Japan. In a way, it made the Splatfests feel like regional holidays, and that's what I think Nintendo was going for with Splatoon's time-based mechanics. They wanted to make a world that seemed like it was lived in and constantly changing. The holidays, the various branded clothes that went in and out of a store's rotation, and even the music that played on each stage. Stages didn't have set music, it'd be different every time, kind of like a playlist on shuffle. And a majority of the songs played in the game were made by different in-universe artists who each have their own style, like Chirpy Chips, who have a more electronic feel to their music, and DJ Lee Fish, who has a hip-hop vibe. I'm kind of rambling here, but it all comes back to the time-based design of the game. And while I do think it can be problematic, I can see the appeal of it, and as a whole, I really like this game. Easily a top 5 Wii U game for me. The servers for this game are gonna go down too, like Mario Maker, so play a few rounds of this game again if you can. There is some fun to be had in the single-player campaign, but personally, I don't feel like you're getting the most out of Splatoon unless you play the multiplayer. Well, folks, there we have it. Those were 3 Wii U classics that I just wanted to ramble about for a little bit. It was nice to go back through the memories. Hopefully you enjoyed the background noise. Thanks for watching, y'all, and have a great rest of your day.